we've only investigated 2% of our contracts at the VA, and yet found over $98 million when we look at this as we go forward.
That's the flip here that we need to continue to remind people. The Russians are the bad guys. They're raping women. They're killing children. They're bombing cities. The Ukrainians are the noble good guys. In some ways, they're more American than we are.
It's an entire media organization designed to bend reality, to manipulate facts, to maintain power. It would never happen in the United States.
Excuse me. What? Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks again for watching. I'm sorry I've been away for a couple days, but try being a YouTuber and have 4 kids. It's almost impossible. Don't worry, I have 3 videos that you're either going to enjoy or that are going to drive you insane.
Oh. Great.
Starting with DOGE finding almost $1 billion in VA waste, and they've only audited 2% of it.
I think we'll do. Let me give you 2 figures. You know, the Democrats have talked about how the cuts have occurred in the probation employee layoffs. These things are hurting. That's less than 1/2% of our workforce that have been laid off. I don't think that's actually, and especially in non-front-facing personnel. These were non-essential personnel, and which, by the way, if they happen to be caught up and they wasn't, there's an exemption that they could come back to work. Their supervisors chose not to use that exemption process in many of these cases, but also in our contracts, which their team has helped us find. We've only investigated 2% of our contracts at the VA, and yet found over $98 million when we look at this as we go forward. You know, going forward, 980 million. I'm sorry, apologize. It was a little bit more. $980 million, almost $1 billion that we're cutting now to put back into patient care and working with our benefits. And we have over almost 1.8 billion total of contracts that are just canceled going forward. That's only 2%, Brian. And when you look at our process going forward, that's the kind of things that we need to make sure the VA is efficient.
This is wild, but have no doubt the critics will say it's just a drop in the bucket in the grand scheme of things. But with this being discovered and only 2% of the auditing being completed, it's almost certain that they're going to find a lot more. And I hope that it actually goes to benefit the veterans. It's looking more and more like America is not only being fleeced by the world, but right here at home as well. By the way, there was a viewer a while back that really wanted me to do a video about the PACT Act, and I never really got around to doing it. But if you're a veteran and you were exposed to toxic burn pits, toxic chemicals like Agent Orange during your service, then the PACT Act greatly expands your access to healthcare and benefits. I'll put a link to that in the description and pinned comment, so make sure to check it out. All right, now moving on to the next one that I'm positive is going to drive you insane, so make sure to have that tape ready to go. But what we have here is history illiterates on MSNBC embarrassing themselves while defending Ukraine.
The person who's watching, who just heard you say Donald Trump is not standing up for Ukraine, what do you say to the person who says, well, I don't care about Ukraine. I want Donald Trump to stand up for America? What do you say to them?
I don't know where you got that.
Welcome to real life.
I mean, I don't have time for it.
Yes, but we hear it. We hear it.
Here's the thing. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in a place where you thought the Russians were the good guys? What part of America did you grow up in where they taught you the Russians were the good guys and our allies were the bad guys? That's the flip here.
I'm sorry to stop, but real quick, I cannot stand Stephanie Ruhle. And what the hell is she smiling about? Seeing as how she is an openly far-left socialist who mocks Americans that don't want to get on board with socialism.
Yeah. But lots of people don't get into the argument. They just go, oh my gosh, socialist, I can't have that. It's going to take all my money.
What part of America did these people grow up in where they mocked Americans for rejecting communism?
That we need to continue to remind people. The Russians are the bad guys. They're raping women. They're killing children. They're bombing cities. The Ukrainians are the noble good guys. In some ways, they're more American than we are over the last couple of years. And we must stand with them in the same way we stood with the Allies in World War II and since this country was founded. This is not just about Ukraine. This is about the core and the integrity of American values. And that's what he's also betraying. Not just Ukraine.
Look who's talking.
I'm sorry, but I have to jump in here again. Obviously, Russia was our ally in World War II, and Ukraine actually fought with the Nazis. However, let me just say that I do agree the Russians are the bad guys. I know many in my audience disagree, and I might lose you as subscribers because apparently it's a thing now in the Republican Party to like Russia.
Now you see that evil will always triumph
because good is dumb.
There are some on our side that say that we were asking for it and we pushed Russia to do this, which I just don't agree with. The fact is, Russia decided to start this war and to target civilians. They're definitely the bad guys, and I'm not at all interested in buddying up with Russia over our traditional allies. That being said, these MSNBC goons are idiots who watched way too many movies and not enough History Channel during their World War II phase. Disagree? Let me know in the comments because I'm always open to being wrong. All right, now on to what I find to be the most entertaining video of the day, and it comes to us from Jon Stewart, who is just horrified about Hungary's state media.
So you're saying if you have a media machine that purposefully lies to its people to maintain a political fiction and get themselves power, that is the hallmark of an authoritarian system.
Seem familiar?
Not a democratic system.
Absolutely.
Well, if we were ever to get something like that in the United States, we would be horrified. Furious to know that there was an entire media organization designed to bend reality, to manipulate facts, to maintain power. It would, if I may, and I'm not trying to slam Hungary, it would never happen in the United States. It's just not.
This guy. Even the woman he's talking to is like, are you serious right now? What is it with the left and a total lack of self-awareness? Jon Stewart says these things knowing full well that he's been a political propagandist for one party over the last few decades. He would probably defend himself by saying, I'm just a comedian. But he's clearly more than a comedian and not exactly a funny one, because he does shows where he singles out a racial group for being what he calls a problem. Strange thing for a Jewish man to say, but what do I know? But yeah, it's just nuts considering everything we know now about all the lies the media told over the last few years to keep the Democrat Party in power. It didn't work out for them in the end, but they definitely tried, and Jon Stewart was definitely part of that. All right, folks, that's all I have for that one. Let me know what you all think in the comments, and if you're still here, might as well hit that like button and subscribe. I do post on a regular basis, so keep checking back for more. Thanks a lot.